Look, Bumble knows you're exhausted by dating. All the must not take yourself too seriously and 6'1" since that matters. And what do I even say other than hey? Well, that's why they're introducing an all-new Bumble with exciting features to make compatibility easier, starting the chat better, and dating safer. They've changed, so you don't have to. Download the new Bumble now.
The Dental Download podcast is your source for insight from conversations with fellow dentists, specialists, and leaders in the industry. With new episodes every Monday morning, I'm your host, Dr. Haley. Let's get into this week's episode. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very special episode. When I was starting dental school, we started in mid-June as D1s at Michigan, which I know is not the norm, but I wanted to get this episode up in a timely manner before people at Michigan started, because this is going to be advice for incoming dental students. And at least then it's up and it's available for people that might be starting in late June, July, even August. And you can share it with a friend that's also starting dental school, because I know many people listen to the podcast throughout their pre-dental journey, but keep in mind that there's a lot of great episodes in there about dental school, because that's what I've been up to the past 4 years until I just recently graduated. So now we're here and I'm a dentist officially, but I wanted to put out this episode of content for you guys with some of my tips for dental students. And it's not just study hard or practice in sim lab, because that's obvious and you're obviously going to do your best. But these are 5 tips I actually just recently put on my Instagram, which I changed my username. It is now Dr. Haley DDS. So it's dr.haley.dds if you're interested in following me on my dentist page. But the podcast has its own Instagram that's at Dental Download Podcast. That's always been the same. That's staying the same if you want to keep up with everything over on Instagram. But I posted these 5 on my dental page, and I wanted to share them in the podcast format as well, but expand on them in terms of like my own experience and everything. So we're transitioning the content from dental student to dentist in a little bit of a transition period till I actually start working and have some content to give around starting a job as a dentist. But for now, I wanted to kind of round off all of the advice that I've given with 5 tips for dental school, like my top 5 things that I think are really going to make an impact for you if you take the time to think them through and figure out the best way for you to personally implement them, because they're different for every single person. And when I'm posting this, I'm currently in Greece on a family vacation to celebrate graduation. So this is a pre-recorded episode, and we're going to be skipping the intro portion where I tell you kind of what I was up to that week and what I learned and what's been motivating me, because this is pre-recorded. But don't worry, it's still full of great content. And let's jump right into it. So number 1, life is a lot easier when you have a clear mission and why behind your actions. Spend time reflecting on your goals and values in life to determine your why for dentistry based on your own skills and passions. This will make decisions more straightforward and help guide your path. So that was kind of a lot there, but the spark notes of that is you need to figure out why you want to be a dentist. I talk about this all the time, and it's not like the element of helping people. Yeah, all that's great. The kind of cookie cutter things that every single dentist does. We know that, we've passed that at this point. We're starting dental school, but what kind of individual dentist do you want to be? What kind of life do you want to live? And how will working as a dentist support that? I talk about that all the time. And all of these are going to be things that you may have heard from me before, but I'm just really trying to hammer that nail in and emphasize that you need to have a lot of time for self-reflection, and starting dental school is a great time to do that and think about what you want out of dental school and what you want out of life, so that you can make decisions during dental school that support what you want. It's totally okay that your interests might change. You might think you want to do one specialty, and then by the time you start rotations 2 years later, you realize it's not for you. That's totally okay. It doesn't mean that all that time you spent going towards orthodontics is wasted because now you want to do pediatrics, or now you want to do endodontics, or now you want to be a general dentist. It's all good experience and it's all going to shape you, but it helps you have a drive and it helps you be more motivated, and it makes dental school a little less depressing if you actually know why you're doing what you're doing. So in my case, how did I decide what I want out of life and out of dental school? I always knew general dentistry. I never really wavered on that. I guess had an open mind, but it was never a thought in my head that I would specialize by going to more education. I know I'll definitely advance the procedures beyond what we learned in dental school, but I won't get another degree and go back to school. I'll just do continuing education classes and get hands-on mentorship to learn those skills. So I knew all of that at the start of dental school, and that remained true. But in terms of what I want to do as a business owner or not a business owner, that actually shifted a lot, probably towards the end of third year when I became more open-minded to potentially being an associate long-term. So that's just evidence that what you say and what you think definitely will change, and there's nothing wrong with that. But that doesn't mean everything that I did to learn about owning a business was useless, because I'm still not 100% sure that I won't. And it's only going to be helpful, and it makes you more knowledgeable and a better associate and just a more intelligent person. It never hurts to have more knowledge, and it kept me excited and passionate as I was going through different hard times in dental school and helped guide me on what I should or should maybe not spend my time on. So tip number 2 is that community is key. Make time for your loved ones outside of dental school to allow yourself to disconnect from the stresses of dentistry. Find hobbies or activities outside of school that fill up your cup. However, a strong support system of dental students and mentors is also essential to lean on when you need people that truly understand exactly what you're going through. So that's kind of a multifaceted tip. You need to have outside of school support and stress reliefs, and then you need to have people, at least someone that you can relate to that is either a mentor dentist that's been through it, or a classmate or an upperclassman, even someone in the class below you, just someone that understands what dental school is like so that they can support you in a way that an outside source could not. And I have 2 episodes up already. One's more recent from this past, I think, February or so. I think I did it around Valentine's Day this year, and then I did it 2 or 3 years ago around Valentine's Day as well, about relationships in dental school, and not only romantic partners, but friends and family, long distance, all of those things. So I will keep it brief in terms of relationships and community here, but go listen to those before you start dental school as well, because it gives a lot of great insight into kind of giving back to those support systems and maintaining those relationships. That way they're there when you need them, and they also help make dental school better because you're a happier person. So on this topic though, personal anecdote I want to share is just, I wish more people before I started dental school shared the opposite side of the spectrum of, if you don't go into your first year or go through your first year and have this like group chat of like 5-10 best friends, and they're going to be your family for life, and you click so well and you hang out 24/7. Obviously, my dental school was a little wonky because of COVID, and I really think that played a big factor in the kind of social landscape of our class. But I just want to say that if you feel like you're struggling with making dental school friends your first year or your second year, or situations change, just don't even worry about it. I know it's hard to do, but there's no guarantees that people you meet in dental school are going to be like your people, which is what I was told going into dental school. And that's okay. It's okay if they're not, but also for others it will be, and it will be wonderful, and they will be maybe the best friends you ever meet and the closest people in your life. And that doesn't mean there's anything wrong one way or the other. But just know that if you're struggling or you're feeling really nervous, there's no bad outcome. Whether you make friends in dental school, great. Whether you more so hang out with the friendships and family members that you had before dental school, also great. Like nothing, no option is bad. I wish someone kind of told me that, because that was something I struggled with early in dental school, but then eventually got over it, of course. Tip number 3, the term supplementing your education is one of my favorite phrases, and I use it often. To me, this means joining student organizations, participating in networking, and choosing elective courses that would benefit my future goals. But to you, it may and probably will be different. As I mentioned, if you're trying to pursue a specialty or research or leadership position or education position, something totally different than what I'm trying to do, which everyone's pretty much trying to do something a little bit different than the next person, your activities that you choose to supplement your education or the knowledge that you try to gain outside of what's in the curriculum is going to be different for every single person. But for me, like I said, it was student organizations, it was leadership positions within those organizations to network, but also work on my skills as a leader, work on teamwork skills, challenge myself in new ways. I also took elective classes at Michigan. They're called selectives. So I took some on implants and CBCT, clear aligners. I took a public speaking class. So all different things that I thought lined up with my goals. And then, of course, I have my podcast and my social media, and I try to network and connect with as many dentists, both physically, locally as I can, as well as virtually through these platforms, which I'm so grateful for. And that's really only possible because of you all. So thank you if I don't say it enough. And then the other way that I have worked on supplementing things that's less physically out doing something is more personal, and that's reading or listening to podcasts. So in terms of books, I have an episode fairly recently about all of my favorite book recommendations. So it's self-improvement books and dental business books. So definitely check those out and maybe pick up a few copies if you have a summer break right now and you're getting ready for dental school. I go through in the episode which ones are maybe more beginner level and then which ones are maybe a little bit more intense depending on where you are in your dental journey. Tip number 4. If you find yourself struggling on the hard days, please remember you are not alone. I feel like we all need to hear that. And sometimes when you say it to yourself, it doesn't mean anything, but when you hear someone else say it, it really means a lot. It's kind of like when someone gives you a compliment. It could like almost make you tear up, but when you say things, you don't even really believe them about yourself. And that's kind of a whole deeper topic, like sometimes you don't treat yourself as well as you treat others with the same kind of kindness and the same kind of maybe holding them to the same standards or recognizing when they do something good. Sometimes we get down on ourselves a lot, and that kind of all goes under this bubble of just not being too hard on yourself and knowing that everyone is struggling with something, whether it's dental school or externally. No one's life is perfect, and no one's perfect at dentistry. Even the very, very, very best clinicians make some form of mistakes or errors or poor judgment calls. And that is life because we're humans. So just remember that you're not alone, whatever you may be struggling with, whether it's clinical, didactic, personal, you're not alone. Going along with that and the encouragement I'd like to remind you of as you're starting dental school, or maybe you're already in dental school and you wanted to still see what advice I had to give. Please remember that dental school is temporary. That's also really important to set on. That's why I'm doing these dramatic pauses. Dental school is temporary. It will end. I'm here. I'm at the end of it. Dentistry is almost never life or death. And being a dentist is your job. I don't want to say you're just a dentist or it's just your job, because I know it's a very noble profession and it means a lot to be a doctor and it means a lot to be a dentist. However, even though you really, really care about the work that you're doing and you work so hard and you give everything you have to it, it's not your entire identity. So if you find yourself becoming all consumed, personally, I would recommend taking a step back, maybe talking to someone that you trust or talking to a professional and just seeing if everything in your life has proper perspective. Because if something goes wrong when you make dentistry your whole identity, then what? Because there's no guarantees in life, and there's no guarantee that we're going to be able to practice as dentists for who knows how long. So I would recommend, as much as you need to take it seriously and learn and really give it your all, still make sure that you're having those boundaries and that you're doing other things for yourself and that you're a full person and not just like a shell of yourself that's coasting through dental school the best you can. And if it is something you can't do yourself, try to get help. So tip number 5 is long. It is adding on to what we talked on in last week's episode in terms of mental health. So taking care of yourself is not easy or simple, but it is necessary. The better you care for yourself, the better you can serve others in this very active profession. Dentists Dentistry requires tons of mental and physical labor each day. So please be sure you're fueling yourself well, including being kind to your body, making time for movement like stretching, rehabilitative movement, strength training, and prioritizing your mental health. Although that is a lot to consider during a busy dental student schedule, honestly, life only finds new ways to keep you busy after graduation, and if you're making excuses now, you're probably going to continue making them later on. At a certain point, some things in life just come down to discipline, and what better thing to prioritize and make into a habit than taking care of your health? So working on habits and finding out internal motivators for you to want to live a healthy life now while you're a dental student is only going to benefit you in the future. And again, that's going to look different for every single person. What is healthy to them, and how does healthy look in their life, and what motivates them to do those things? Is it perhaps something that's gone on in your family? Is it thinking about the future that you want to have? Or is it just very present day things motivating you? Whatever it is, find something and try to stick to it. So last week's episode, as I mentioned, last solo episode, so 2 weeks ago, if you missed it, really hits home on mental well-being. So please listen to that if you haven't as well, because it's such an important topic and I know a sensitive topic, but I wanted to talk about that for May's Mental Health Month. Some of the things I did earlier in dental school when it was extra stressful, like the first 2 years, to try to take care of myself was cooking at home, kind of meal prepping, not super extreme, but definitely cooking a little bit in bulk, and also using HelloFresh when I could. And then similarly, I would try to clean and do laundry in bigger batches, so I wasn't doing it as frequently, and it could kind of save time. And then I could time it with when we had slower periods of exams or something. And I honestly always worked out a bit, but I basically never did any stretching unless it was part of a planned workout class. So I implemented that halfway through 4th year. I'm still not perfect at it. It was a New Year's resolution to stretch every day. I don't think I stretch every day, but probably at least 70% of the days, which is pretty good, but it needs to be every day. So let me tell you, please stretch every day. But no matter what, whether I was very active or a little active, I was so much happier. My mind was much clearer. I was less tired, actually. Everything just was better physically for me and mentally during patient care after those long days when I was in better shape. The better shape that I was in, the more that I was giving that 30 minutes to an hour a day for my physical health, the better everything else was in my life. So for me, that was joining a workout studio that really catapulted me to be consistent with things, because you have like those booked classes, and I personally got an unlimited membership, but at a student price. It wasn't necessarily cheap, but it was more affordable than without a student discount, and health is something that I feel is always worth investing in. So that's kind of everything I had planned for this episode. I do want to say, if you were looking for something more like study tips for dental school, I do have a whole playlist on my YouTube channel. That is a How I Study playlist that goes back to the pre-dental days, but also has a few dental school specific studying tips and different products that I used in dental school to study, different tech things I ordered on Amazon, and then again, just techniques and things that worked for me and how that was maybe different or similar to undergrad. And then episode 62 of this podcast is called Dental School Favorites. So that is another fun one I recommend you check out. So I'm leaving you with quite a bit of homework after this episode, huh? So plenty of episodes to go listen to. Again, that's the relationships in dental school as well as the dental school favorites. And then 2 weeks ago, the mental health episode. And you can check out my YouTube playlist for How I Study, as well as other playlists for dental school vlogs, dental school advice. All of that is there. If that's the stage that you're in, you can watch it like it's Netflix. It's there, it's free, it's available. It was made real time, so it's the most fresh, best experience and honest emotions and advice that you're ever going to get from me, because now that was long ago, so I don't really remember it quite as clearly, or I might have kind of skewed memories. So that's all for now, folks. Thank you so much for listening, and I can't wait to catch up with you all on the podcast here when I'm back from Greece and getting started working.